Most people in India never actually had to read the Ramayana. They encountered it as a vivid, lived part of their daily landscape. You remember Lakshmana drawing a glowing protective line around a forest hut. You know the image of Hanuman tearing open his chest to reveal Rama and Sita inside. You remember the squirrels earning 3 stripes on their backs while building the bridge to Lanka. And Shabari carefully tasting wild berries to ensure only the sweet ones touched her lord's lips. None of those scenes appear in the original text. The foundation of this entire epic is a Sanskrit poem composed by the sage Valmiki, dating back between the 7th and 4th centuries BCE. It is the first organized poetic narrative in Indian history. Since the original author didn't write these famous moments, we must look for their true origins. We must identify who wove them into the story and what specific purpose those additions served. Identifying these historical layers does not diminish their spiritual value. Instead, it reveals how a single narrative evolved into a living, continuously breathing cultural entity over thousands of years. In the popular myth of the Lakshman Rekha, a magical boundary of protection is drawn around Sita. She is told never to cross it. The moment she steps over that line to offer alms, the protection breaks, leading directly to her abduction. Valmiki's text records a different sequence of events. Hearing what she believes is Rama crying out in agony, Sita panics. In her desperation, she hurls wounding accusations at Lakshmana, suggesting he secretly wants Rama dead so he can claim her for himself. Valmiki gives us a tragic misunderstanding rather than a broken rule. There is no magical line. Lakshmana, deeply hurt by her words, simply folds his hands in respect and leaves her vulnerable because of the emotional fallout between 2 terrified people. The concept of the glowing line appeared much later, taking root in the regional oral traditions of northern India. As the story transitioned into mass folklore, storytellers replaced this uncomfortable psychological complexity with a clear, graspable moral allegory. A literal line on the ground offered a more direct way to teach an audience about boundaries and protection. Hanuman tearing open his chest and Shabari discarding sour berries to offer only sweet ones have become the ultimate cultural symbols of total devotion. In the original Sanskrit, these encounters are much quieter. Sita gives Hanuman a pearl necklace, which he accepts with humility. Shabari welcomes Rama and Lakshmana with a standard, heartfelt offering of wild fruits and roots. This timeline shows the gap between Valmiki's original composition and the medieval period, which saw the rise of the Bhakti movement. This era focused on an intensely emotional, personal love for the divine. As this movement spread, regional poets added their own specific verses. The image of Hanuman's torn chest comes to us from devotional texts composed specifically here in Bengal. The pre-tasted berries emerged further down the coast, within Odia literature. These additions allowed devotional poets to show that true love transcends physical pain, in Hanuman's case, and strict rules of ritual purity, in Shabari's case. Over centuries, the human desire to express devotion grew so intense that it required these vivid physical proofs written directly into their bodies. This evolution also shifted how characters were portrayed. Later adaptations present Sita as an ideal of quiet submission, but Valmiki wrote a fiercely assertive heroine who uses sharp rhetorical arguments to condemn her captor and demand her place alongside her husband. The most significant change is the ending. Valmiki does not conclude with a joyful reunion. Sita, asked to prove her purity one time too many, calls upon her mother, the earth. She permanently descends into the earth, leaving Rama to live out his days in profound grief. Most modern audiences instead recognize the ending of Ram Raja, a celebration of triumphant royal order and a permanent coronation. Shifting cultural ideals of feminine virtue, combined with a natural preference for joyful resolutions, gradually erased the original text's moral ambiguity. Over centuries of retelling, the sharp edges of Valmiki's original tragedy were filed down, replaced by the more comfortable, idealized images that define the popular tradition today. These variations, the squirrels, the berries, the glowing lines, represent the active participation of poets and storytellers in a shared cultural narrative. The Ramayana functions as a living river rather than a static artifact. Every era and region added its own waters to express its specific truths. One central node provided the base for an expansion that has lasted 2,500 years. The story traveled across dozens of languages and multiple major world religions, constantly mutating to fit the people telling it. Valmiki's complex foundation provided the base for a narrative that has mutated across dozens of languages and major world religions, never once ceasing to expand alongside the civilization that loves it.